All right, Harry, we had a question from one of our subscribers, right? It says, when you forgive someone, can you say, I forgive you, but I don't want you in my life? Or is that not true forgiveness? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's what the world does. You know, they basically must just kind of write you off, forgive you, and write you off. They do it to their friends, to their classmates, to their family, to their siblings, and to their parents. A lot of people haven't spoken to a sibling for a year or two, or their parents, or whatever.
Mm.
They've said, well, whatever, I'll forgive you, but I just don't need this anymore.
Is
But
that true forgiveness, though?
what if Jesus did that? He says, I forgive you, but I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Wow, that would be really tough because I would not be a child, right, of God then in that case.
No, no. So it just, Jesus doesn't do that. And if we're a child of God, we don't do that.
Right, because we are called to be more like Christ, right? So I think that's important to remember that we should always go back to what did Jesus say or what did Jesus do to decide on where we should get our stuff from, right?
That's right. When Jesus forgives us, he invites us to be family, to
Mm.
be our child. So it's actually brings us closer than ever, because so now he has forgiven us. That's the nature. That was the cross experience, so that he's available, so he can remove our sin, forgive us, and invite us to be family. When Satan is our master, we don't want to forgive. When Jesus is our Lord, forgiving becomes natural. Sometimes a little awkward if something was really, really bad, but it's still our nature. It's who we are. It is what we want to do. There's also a middle category that's called a good person, kind of, yeah, halfway in between. And they try to forgive, but it doesn't work very well because we don't have the Jesus power in our life to do it. And a lot of good people really try hard to forgive, and it doesn't work well. And if Jesus is in our life and we're like children, and Jesus says, if we're going to be, and no, we can't, how's that go again? If you, unless you become like little children, you shall
Mm.
no wise enter the kingdom of heaven.
And little
And
children are the best at forgiving, right? They get into arguments all the time on the playgrounds and stuff like that. You destroyed my castle. You come back 10 minutes later, they're best buddies building new castles together.
yeah, they're just at it. Like they have amnesia when it comes to that kind of stuff. They don't have grudges. They can't hold a grudge. They literally can't hold a grudge. Why that's the way kids are.
Mhm.
Adults could hold a grudge for 10 years. But Jesus said, unless you become like a little child, you shall no wise into the kingdom of heaven. I think that's part of it. Um, so if we there's different natures, as you might say. If we're a God hater, it's like the nature of a snake. If we're a God person, a true God person, we have the nature of a sheep, and we act like Jesus because Jesus lives in us. But a good person, that's the hard part. That's the struggle one again. The nature of a goat. Okay, looking after number one, always on the wrong side of the fence, but really not a bad creature. But the problem with good people is they're trying to be good. They're trying to forgive. They're trying to love. They're trying to trust and
Mhm.
trying to get to heaven. And it doesn't work very well because we in life, so many good people are trying to learn to be a child of God, and it works so hard. But if we're a God person instead of a good person, he changes our nature to a sheep nature. And then forgiving is not an issue. It actually is what we want to do, is what we want
Yeah,
to
'cause you
help that
feel
other.
bad for the person because you know they're in a bad place too, right?
Yeah. But if we're truly a God person, then we really care about that person. We want that person to be well. And
Mhm.
just like Jesus forgives us and invites us into his family, that's what we would do too if we really have God's nature. If we're a God person, then that's just our nature. And that's where we want to be. A good person tries, a God person does. That's really how it works.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.